Hi, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel and welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm looking at the Messerschmitt Bf-109F Weekend Edition kit in 1/48 scale from Eduard, popular plain, well-reputed manufacturer. What's it actually like? This kit of the Bf-109F4 was released in 2023. It's a re-release of the 2014 kit, but with new decal schemes. If you enjoy the show, then please do remember the best way to support the channel for free is to subscribe. Hit the bell and you'll be notified of all my future content as it's published, and don't forget to hit the like button as well. Let's make a start. So here's the box of the Bf-109F4 from Eduard. It's a weekend edition kit, which is important, and it's a scale of 1/48. Interestingly, they don't seem to put the product code on the front of the box, which is kind of unusual for a major manufacturer. You do find the code on the side here, 84188, amongst all the other things that are repeated. The other part of interest on the box is this long side, where they show the 4 schemes that are included in the kit. Of course, the lead scheme, two aircraft flown in the Soviet Union, and one flown from Petsamo in Finland. The lead scheme is the tropical aircraft, as you can see from the tropical filter here in front of the air intake, but we'll have a look at all bits and pieces like that in a little while. Why don't we have a look and see what you get inside the box for your money? So the box is top opening, usual single sheet cardboard top, nicely printed though. Inside, some frames. I like the way that the frames actually fill the box. Quite often the boxes are too big, and things can rattle around. And these actually fit very snugly indeed inside. There's one cellophane bag with two large frames in. There's another cellophane bag with smaller frames for the fuselage and wings. And then there's a polythene bag containing the plastic parts for the transparencies. Then inside we have the instruction leaflet, and tucked away inside the instruction leaflet are the decal sheets. But we can have a look at all these bits and pieces in a bit more detail. Alphabetically, of course, this is the first of the frames. This is frame H, which is kind of strange, but there must be lots of other versions of this that have gone ahead. So this includes lots of things. So the cockpit, instrument panels, gear doors, options for propellers. Only 2 of these are used on this kit of the 4 schemes. This one in here isn't used. It's a bomb rack, again, not used. Lots of interior parts of the cockpit here. The undercarriage and gear wells here. The bombs here that don't get used in this model. There's an under fuselage fuel tank here. These are the inserts for the guns on the top of the engine cover, and of course the main wheels, prop spinner, and so on. A lot of these parts frankly aren't going to be used, but that's how they make lots of versions of a kit without having to retool the entire thing. Then there's frame I, again another design of underbody tank, the fins, the elevators, rudders, various rudders, other bits and pieces, various flaps and whatever, all sorts of things. Tail wheels, 2 different types of tail wheel, of course. Lots and lots and lots of different bits and pieces, really, for the completion of the kit. This pair of frames, ultimately this is M and this is L, obviously, are the wings. With a molded in pitot, I really don't like molded pitots because they will break, absolutely will break while I'm building it, and that's very, very distressing to me. But other than that, yeah, wings. And then finally we have frame R, which is apparently used for the 109F, G and K models, according to this. Of all of this, all you're going to use in this kit are the 2 fuselage parts. None of these are going to be used. And then frame Z. This, as you can see, are the canopy parts, the gun sight, That's presumably a bulletproof insert. And this strange thing, which is, I'm told, a fuel flow indicator that goes in the cockpit. Most of it will be painted, it's just this tiny little bit in the middle. That will be clear. Having a look at the plastic here, it's generally very nice. Like I said, it's kind of like a bit of a dimple there. I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. Anyway, you can see that the rivet detail is very finely made. Always amazes me that they can do these tiny, tiny, tiny bits of stuff because it sticks up in the mold. So when you put the plastic in, they come out as indentations. And the fact they're so small and so precisely laid is really always very impressive to me. A bit of a flow line there in the colour of the plastic, but I really don't imagine that's going to, you can't feel it. I just imagine that's going to be a bit of self-leveling thinner. We'll clear that out slightly more. As you can actually feel, you can see these little lumpy type things there. You can actually feel one of those. This one you can just about feel. Again, I'll see how it goes when it's primed. I'm sure it'll disappear with a bit of self-leveling because it is a tiny amount. Your fingers are surprisingly adept at noticing very, very small detail. But otherwise, all very nice. Let's have a look at the gates. A bit of flash on the gate here because this is used for 3 different marks and they do lots of models of different marks. You can see it's essentially undercut so that the gate goes into the face of the join rather than directly onto the top of the part, and that's going to make things easier when it comes to putting the halves together. They should come together with a bit more accuracy, but we will see. Ejection pins are not going to be too relevant on this. So yeah, everything's looking all right. As I say, the rivet detailing is absolutely beautiful. Really exquisite. So the wings, again, beautiful riveting. You can see the navigation lights here are well defined, but I guess you just paint those with some chrome and then some clear color rather than putting a transparent part on. The slat housings are there. On this, you can see considerably more in the way of flow lines in the plastic, which is strange. Again, I cannot actually feel anything there. Once that's got some decent primer on, we should be all right. And here the undersides, again, some very, very prominent flow lines there. I can't feel those. Interesting there, they're kind of symmetrical. Left and right, the flow lines there and the flow lines there are relatively symmetrical, which is kind of interesting to me anyway. Don't know if it's interesting to anyone else. This all looks very good. The thing to notice here is that on the leading edges, these aren't undercut gates, these are direct injection gates. So they inject directly into the front of the wing. I think the idea with these is that it makes it easier to join the wing up, then correct. Actually, no, that feels. No, that's not undercut that. Let's see. It doesn't stick out over the edge here onto this face. So that's a direct injection gate. I think, as I say, the idea is you then makes it easy to put the wing together and then just tidy up the wing with the nubs of sprue that are sat there, rather than trying to get the 2 faces completely hit. It's almost like 2 different designers have had their ideas about how to do the frames. Fuselage has got undershot, frames, and these ones have got direct injection frames. Oh well, we'll see how they go together anyway. But they look okay. They look pretty good. The detailing is lovely. The molding looks pretty good to me. Interesting sort of darker plastic Eduard use as well. The much smaller parts here, they're well enough moulded, looking okay. That's the tropical filter, I think there. Different tail wheel designs. On this frame, I do notice more flash here and there on these overflow nubs here. And where are we here? You can see there's a bit more flash on these parts. I would always rather have flash than undershot plastic, but you are going to need to clean up some of these edges. I think this is just essentially a very, very, very highly used mold, and this is used for all versions of the FG and K, and so these will have had a lot of production go through them. But you know, they look okay. Those are actually really nice exhaust stacks for injection molding. Those are very nicely done exhaust stacks. There are some companies where that would have to be a resin part because they wouldn't be able to get that sort of shape and curve and definition, or it'd have to be a multi-part. There's bits of the radiator faces, oil coolers and whatever. Yeah, fine. The cockpit base looks good. It's going to be easy enough to dry brush that. It doesn't have to be too much in detail on that. I'm sure we can pick out a lot there. More than enough, actually, for the sort of kits that I make anyway. Instrument panel here comes complete if you wish to paint it yourself. And there's a flat version if you just want to decal it just with something sort of symbolic. Maybe you're going to have the cockpit completely closed. There's no point doing too much hard work. But then if you want to have, like, say, the cockpit open, do the work, then there it all is. Or indeed, if there's photo etch parts you want to put onto some of these bits and pieces as well. Of course, you can get a separately 3D printed, painted part, but we'll have a look at those in a minute. Undercarriage doors, all very nice. Propellers are okay. These are very shiny. Very, very shiny plastic here. Very highly polished parts in the mold. Little tabs of plastic at the end of this. Again, I'm not worried by that. It means I've got complete props rather than sort of partial ones. This is the optional one with a sort of different profile tip. Very shiny parts here in this frame. These are the very small bits and pieces come along, things like the balance horns for the ailerons, various sort of levers and bits and pieces of some trim tabs for the interior. These are the undercarriage hubs for the main wheels. All beautifully designed and beautifully printed, has to be said. Here are the wheel options. Okay, you can see how shiny this plastic is here. That's really interesting. Molded well enough to have sort of manufacturer details on the side. How easy? Well, it's not easy to get those out and show those, but maybe we might see what we can do. There's plenty of detail there, that's for sure. There's a lot of wheels, a lot of different wheels. And then the belly tank. That's the top of the belly tank there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. There are two decal sheets included, one with the aircraft markings and the interior decals here, and the other with all of the stencils and stencil options available. The colours look pretty good. Let's have a close look to see the registration and sharpness of the printing. Yeah, looking at these unit markings, the sharpness is very good, and the registration is very good, and the colours very good. So all round, these are excellent, excellent decals. Yeah. See work numbers there for the aircraft itself. Now, if we look at the carrier film, you can see how big the carrier film appears to be compared to decal, which means these are probably the new style decals that you have to peel this top film off once the decal is set, which is quite controversial. Some people absolutely love these. Some people really, really, really do not love these. I think it's all about a case of getting the knack of being able to take the cover films off easily. But there are plenty of YouTube videos about that out there. Have a look here. We have the instrument panel for the aircraft. Again, with a big old carrier film. So I think for these really tiny decals, especially ones that are going on the interior of a cockpit, this sort of huge carrier film idea, I'm not sure how good that is. You know, these are supposed to go onto the seats, so they've got to sit flat enough that they bond well, and then you've got to be able to take that carrier off the top. I'm not so sure that's a great idea for the interiors. I would have stuck with traditional decal technology for the interiors, but that's just me. Maybe I'm just wrong. That's always a possibility. Remember that. That's always a possibility that I could be talking rubbish. I mean, they do look nicely printed. They're sharp, certainly, and yeah, colours are lovely. But I think all of these interiors, I may be tempted to try to paint all of these interior decals myself. Maybe get a set of straps on the aftermarket. The stencil decals, you can see, as usual, really, really well printed. Especially on white, it's obviously a lot easier to get the definition over white. These look a little bit more, I don't know, more bleed on them, but maybe there's a reason for that. But these look absolutely stunning. This is again our standard 0.5mm pencil. As you can see, this is way, way, way smaller than 0.5mm, and it's very readable. Very nicely done indeed. You'll notice a lot of the stencils are in red and black. That's because they're different colours for different versions of the aircraft, different colour schemes of the aircraft. No bombs. The decals are very, very cleanly printed. Really nice. These blue and whites here are very good. The octane printed, very nice. Again, very sharp, very well registered. Yeah, very good indeed. Again, however, if we try and catch the light with it, there we go. Again, you can see how big the carrier film is, and that to me looks like this carrier film you have to take off. Like, I mean, look at these tiny little decals with that carrier film on. These are absolutely tiny. How on earth are we going to get that off? I don't know. I don't know if that's actually what it is. I'll have to wait until I make the kit and put them on to find out. But that looks suspiciously like the new style decals. And I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. The instruction sheet is very nicely presented, glossy paper all the way through. There's a reprise of the box art, the serial number 84188 here. And there's actually quite a nice little essay, really, on the Bf-109. And then this particular Bf-109F4 here. Really nice, really very valuable thing to have, I think. Inside the front cover, there's the description of what all the icons mean here. There's the frame map, of course, and you can see the blue parts show where you're not using things. So there's 1, 2, 3 different rudders you're not using. There's one propeller you're not using. All the weapons load and things like that. So there's a lot of pieces that don't apply to this box, let alone to the individual aircraft. But, you know, that's the way things are these days. And at the bottom, paint callouts. These are in Gunn's, the Aqueous and Mysticolor references. Of course, a lot of them are in RLM as well, so you can try and translate these really, really easily to other companies. The actual instructions themselves are very nicely drawn, very straightforward. I like the way that they give you the color codes, but then tell you what the color is. In a lot of places, Fix, for example, they'll give you a Humbrol code for this, but won't tell you what it is. Here they say it's H416 in aqueous, it's C116 in Mr. Color, and that's RLM 66 black grey. So, you know, if you've got RLM 66, you can put that in without having to worry about constantly going backwards and forwards. Look, things like the fuel pipe here, you know, I showed you earlier, the bit that stays clear. Either side is black because they're rubber bushes, no doubt, and then the rest of them are yellow. But there's a specific yellow, and they're all marked there. I think the instructions are really nicely done on this, and yeah, I'm very impressed by them, to be honest with you. Here we have more of what's going on here, where decal placings and things like that are very nice. There are options that, you know, here, for example, in marking A, which is the desert one, Africa Core one, it's got the tropical filter, and there's a decal that go over it to make it look like a filter, which is interesting to remember. Yeah, lots of bits and pieces here, all very straightforward. All the parts are very straightforward. Usefully show you how the gear should look if the aircraft's on the ground when it's when the gear's set. And there's an optional thing here on the tropical marking. There's an extra armor plate, I guess, here behind the pilot headpiece, and armor plate behind the pilot only applies to that marking A aircraft. And we've even got the starter handle. There's a flywheel. You turn the flywheel, a bit like on the Swordfish has got one as well. You keep turning. It's got a massive, great big flywheel. You eventually let a clutch release, and that turns the engine over when you start up. Interesting, of course, it does show the slats out when the aircraft's on the ground and parked. So these are spring loaded, so the slats should be out. And then there's the colour schemes. There are 4 colour schemes. This being a weekend kit, they're just the 4. But that's, you know, I think it's still quite generous. And there's quite a big history of each one. There's a history behind it, which is really good. This is the tropical scheme here of Hauptmann Hans-Joachim Marseille from 3rd Squadron JG-27 in Egypt in September 42. There's an aircraft of Hans-Joachim Heyer from JG-54 flying in the Soviet Union in April 42. The tops of the wings are nice and white. That's actually quite an attractive scheme. There's a more conventional scheme here. CO of 9 JG-52, Lieutenant Hermann in, again, Soviet Union. We've got the yellow stripes here and here to indicate Eastern Front. And then there's a curiosity, which is aircraft flown by Rudolf Müller in 6JG5 in Petsamo in Finland, with a very strange mix of colours. You've got the RLM 71 and RLM 70, but then this RLM 79 interspersed as well. And over the 78, the richer blue underside. That's kind of an appealing scheme as well. And then lastly, there are stencil positions as well for the stencils that you have supplied. So there are common stenciling areas. And on the back, as mentioned before, you can get lots of different detailing goodies. You can get a set of belts for it. You can get a 3D printed and painted resin control panel. You can get brass wheels, resin printed bits and pieces, an entire resin engine with loads of photo etch as well, if you want. There's all sorts of things you can add to this as extras, but as it's a weekend kit, I'd build it from what you have in the box. There it is. I hope you enjoyed that look inside the box. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications of new material, and please don't forget the Imperial thumbs up on the like button. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Take good care now, and goodbye.